Hey, what's the deal, YouTube? It's your girl, MizHoney. Welcome back to the channel, you guys. It is your girl, MizHoney, here with another Real Housewives of Potomac Season 5, Episode 16 review. This episode is entitled Picking Sides. And the ladies, of course, are still in Portugal. We are wrapping up from the dinner from last episode. Basically, Jamal is still in Gizelle's phone. Karen reiterates that, and Gizelle retorts in her confessional that Karen can't really share anything about herself or her life unless she's drunk. And this will be an ongoing theme from Gizelle this entire episode between her and Karen, with Robyn's help, that they can't get any information about Karen and about her life from Karen unless she's drunk. And it also seems to bother them that she is not drinking because it's a missed opportunity as far as they're concerned, basically. Someone asks Robyn about if she's going to get married to Juan. She says that she's not sure. Karen says when she saw Gizelle on Instagram in front of a jewelry store, she assumed that Gizelle was there to help Juan pick out a ring. And honestly, if Robyn saw the same post on Gizelle's Instagram, she probably thought the same thing too, because no one thinks that Jamal is buying Gizelle a ring. Like, no one would think that. You either think she's there shopping for herself, or she's there to help Juan out, right? And Gizelle acts completely appalled. Of course not. I can't just buy myself something, yada, yada, yada. And Robyn is like, what does that have to do with Juan? Robyn knows what's going on. Robyn knows what's going on. And as far as I'm concerned, she's doing a terrible job of covering it up in my eyes. They move on from that. And remember, they took the lift up to the restaurant. And so to go back down to the bottom of the valley, I guess, they are going to do a toboggan. And it is a human manned mode of transportation. In other words, two men get on both sides of this sort of sleigh type thing, and they guide it and slow it down and speed it up and, bend it around curves in order to get you to the bottom. It's very exciting. It's like sledding downhill, and except there's cars involved, and if something goes horribly wrong, you're going to tumble out of that thing. And it is going to be calamitous, darling. But, they're known for this. They're very professional. The ladies have a fun, fast, and furious time getting to the bottom of the hill. It seems like a lot of fun. Everyone participated. It's great. At the bottom of the hill, they go into the market, and we get to see at this moment where Candace is just having this seemingly casual conversation, because in the market she sees some baby clothes, and she's like, oh, I could buy that for my daughter. And Ashley overhears her and says, oh, so you're having a girl. And you can just tell by Candace's demeanor on her face that the way Ashley said it was kind of snarky. And then Ashley's demeanor was kind of snarky as well. And so that was the beginning of the baby blues conversation. We see where in the same market, Gizelle pulls Karen aside and decides she's going to talk to Karen about Robyn's man, not Jamal, who was supposed to be her man, but by Robyn's man. She didn't bring up Jamal, obviously, or try to pull Karen's coattail privately about Jamal. Obviously, she wanted to let that conversation go. Obviously, she didn't want to continue to poke Karen about that, because Karen got daggers and it's got a laser pointer on it. And she knows that Karen will take her edges out about Jamal. Like, Karen knows the truth about what's going on. So instead, Gizelle comes to her to talk to her about Juan, and not bringing up Juan marrying or proposing to Robyn. It does two things. One, it distracts Karen from the conversation that she was having with Gizelle about Jamal, and it sort of throws her off the scent, and also it kind of proves, it's this attempt to prove to Karen that she doesn't care anything about what she was saying about this whole Jamal situation. Like, I'm just over it. Like, it's water off a duck's back. I just brush it off my shoulder. Let's talk about you continuing to bring up the fact that Juan could possibly be proposing to Robyn. Stop saying that. Stop bringing that up, because you have the potential of ruining the surprise. So Karen was like, well, thank you for telling me. I didn't feel like I brought it up that much, but thank you for at least telling me. I'm not telling you that he's asking. I'm saying if he was, you would be ruining the surprise. Why wouldn't you just tell her? Like, you know she's on to you. You know she's on to it. Just say, hey, sis, stop talking about it, because this is what's going on, but we want it to be a surprise for Robyn. That's all you have to say. Like, it's ridiculous. And so once again, when Karen says, okay, that's fine, I don't believe you, I believe it really is happening, you're just trying to throw me off of it, it is what it is, I'm happy for her, I love, and she goes on off. And then Gizelle says, yeah, 2 fireballs and Karen will be spilling it. You've got to pull her coattail. Okay. All right. More references about what happened down at the lake house in the basement. That can't be coming from nobody but Wendy. Maybe even Candace, because Candace was there. Like, you went from knowing the deets to knowing the deets, really, about what happened down there. But we gonna just all overlook that, right? Back at the hotel, they rest a little, get ready for dinner. And down at the bar, we see where Gizelle is there. She goes first to the concierge desk and gets a key to Wendy's room. And because she's going to play a prank on Wendy, goes to the bar, and Ashley comes down. They're waiting on them. They're going to meet there at the bar, all the ladies, to go to dinner. She talks with Ashley about Juan proposing, and that she does tell Ashley full on that this is going to happen and that it is a surprise to Robyn. And she also tells her that she's gotten the key to Wendy's room and she's going to play this prank on Wendy. All the rest of the ladies come down and they go to dinner. The dinner conversation is basically about, initially starts out talking about how Wendy's doing away from her family, how she manages with 2 boys, and I just, what teed me off really about this conversation is that you had someone who was just as professional as Wendy and had just as many children around the same age range as Wendy, but there wasn't a lot of this kind conversation, in my opinion, to Monique. Now, maybe people feel like Monique, in talking about her family and her life, maybe she was coming off as this perfectionist. I mean, her website is called Not for Lazy Moms. So maybe all of the balls that she was keeping in the air continuously made other people feel like they were less than. I don't know why the same engagement that they're using with Wendy they didn't use with Monique, because all things being equal, they're very similar, the two of them, their lives, their responsibilities, and that type of thing. But at the same time, when Wendy retorts in this way that to me was very Monique-esque. When she said, I sleep between the hours of 2 and 4, typically, those are her sweet spots for sleep. And they're like, oh, how do you do that? That's all you sleep a night? And she says, yeah, I got a lot of stuff I got to do. That's so Monique-like, in my opinion. But Candace shares that just looking at all of them, all of the ladies, they just show her this different side of motherhood, and it just makes her feel differently about. You were good friends with Monique. You had the opportunity to learn about motherhood and how to juggle it and how to manage it with Monique. But through that whole relationship you had with Monique, you were like, I don't want kids. I don't want kids. I don't want kids. I don't want kids. And now you're sharing with the ladies that ever since the incident happened where Monique mollywopped you, it has just changed you in a way where now you realize you have the capacity to to raise a child. I was like, if you getting slick at the mouth with these girls over the slightest little infraction, a teenage daughter, I promise you, a 2-year-old daughter, I promise you, we'll have you cussing them out because you slick at the mouth anyway. You slick at the mouth anyway, Candace. So, I mean, you think you're going to get better with children? I don't know. I don't have kids, so I can't say. I'm just saying if anybody will take you there, kids will take you there. But anyway, she's trying to have, this emotional conversation about wanting a child and giving her a napkin. And she's going to dampen her eyes because this whole experience has just changed her and made her want motherhood. And Ashley is sitting over there like, motherhood. Okay, so what about last year when you was doing all of this and giving me the blues about the fact that I was still having a corona every now and then after my miscarriage and I still wanted to have another baby. And you making it seem like because I was having a beer here or there or drinking here or there while we were on girls trips, that mean that I didn't want to have a baby. And you saying that I was fake crying about my miscarriage and my man was fake crying about this miscarriage, right? And I feel like she does have to have this. Ashley does have the right to these feelings. I do. I just don't think that whole situation outside of Dean's sip and see party where they were sitting on that bench, at least from what they aired, it didn't seem like this full conversation about being sorry about everything that they had gone through. I thought Candace was apologizing for what she did on Twitter when Monique was pregnant with baby Dean. So I don't think that they had like this full cathartic type of, reciprocal apology between the two of them. I think for Ashley, it was for the scene and for the moment. And obviously she has some residual feelings about what's going on. I don't knock her for that. And I think that's fine. I just feel like if you're going to talk with somebody and you're going to say you apologize for something and you want to hear you need to talk about it. You need to unpack this joker about, let's go back to 2 years ago when you did yada, yada, yada. And this is how it made me feel. And it's just escalated from that point to where now you hollering at me and I'm on the birthing table, at the hospital via Twitter, hollering at me via Twitter. So, it did seem like it was out of left field, even though I do understand where Ashley is coming from. But again, a lot of the things that these ladies do, they do it for the camera. And so they do things out of sequence, out of decency. And I don't mean doing it in in an act to seem decent. They do it in an act to, they don't do it in a decent manner. You know what I'm saying? Like how we would typically do it in conversation. They don't do it because they're doing it specifically for the cameras, right? So they go back and forth. And I will say that Candace was like, I've been to therapy and I apologize, for how I made you feel in the past. And let's not go back. Let's not go back. She kept it real calm, even though she had the fingers, she had the hands, the gather fingers where, she was like gathering you and gathering you. But she was very calm in demeanor and she's been learning how not to be aggressive in conversation. I hope all of you Monique haters heard that part. And she said that she's learning, just how to say things and how to approach things better, so on and so forth. And Ashley does acknowledge it, but she says, I'm just talking about how you made me feel and how you made Michael feel. And of course, we have where Robyn and Gizelle always try to act like the rudders. And I mean rudders like the ones you find on boats. They always try to direct the conversation. And Robyn chimes in and says, well, you did the same thing to me, Ashley, how you came for me and my family when you first came on board, became a part of the team. And Ashley absolutely did. Ashley was a Tasmanian devil. Now, she wasn't as vicious at the mouth as Candace, still vicious. she wasn't as vicious at the mouth of Candace, like name calling and that type of thing. That wasn't what Ashley did. Ashley took the facts of the matter, and then she did research, and then she just poked at you and poked at you and poked at you until you wanted to scratch her eyes out. So Robyn did have a very valid point, and Ashley kind of acknowledged that. And then Gizelle tried to sum it up. She chimed in, she's the other rudder. She tries to sum it all up because they kind of really want them to squash it. And they don't understand why Ashley is keep trying to make it this whole issue. They're saying, no. Robyn and Gizelle, no. We got one beef on the table. It's not about you guys. It's not about you upsetting Candace and showing and exposing Candace for the Tasmanian devil she is now. We got Monique for that. Okay, calm it down, Ashley. Gizelle basically is saying, really, you were the same way that Candace is now before you had Dean. Before you had Dean, you ran around like a Tasmanian devil like Candace is doing now. And Candace is like, oh, okay. and Ashley has a point. Now Gizelle has a point too. It's true. Ashley was a Tasmanian devil before she had Dean, and the propensity or the she still has the capacity to do so, okay, is what I want to say. Even after having baby Dean and now pregnant with her second child, it's quite possible. And Ashley says, yes, but I said what I had to say. I didn't go on Twitter and berate you and bully you and troll you and just harass the crap out of you on Twitter. And Robyn acknowledges, yeah, you're right. That is something that Candace does, and it's a character flaw of Candace's. Candace was like, okay, thank you very much, Robyn. So, I felt like, even though the conversation did come out of the blue, I felt like everybody kind of handled it appropriately. Everybody kind of stood their ground. Like, this is one of the more balanced conversations that the ladies have had this season. Karen did chime in at this time and talk a little bit. And she was trying to distract and deflect, trying to change the subject, on Ashley. She talked about Ray and how him just saying thank you, really helped her out and, made her feel better and it put them in a good place and that type of thing. So later on, we get to see where the ladies go back to the hotel and they sit at the bar, and Robyn and I forget who all did it. I think it was Robyn, Candace. No, Candace stayed at the bar. So Robyn, Ashley, and Gizelle go up and go into Wendy's room to hide fake snakes and fake spiders in her bed and to stand in her closet. So when she opens her closet, they jump out and scare her. Now, I just feel like this is a dumb prank. It's a prank that could go horribly wrong. Please don't let yourself in my room. If I'm at your house, I don't have a key to my room. You free to let yourself in. Trust me, I'm going to govern myself accordingly. But if I got a room where I can lock my stuff away and my things away and leave it like I want to and say who comes and who goes in and out of there, please don't come in my room. Please don't do that. And don't jump out and scare me. Don't do that. Don't do that, because you could end up getting elbow in your throat. You could end up getting your eyes scratched out. Like, you don't know how I'm going to come across. If I got a hot drink, you getting it to the face and you trying to scare me, like, it could go horribly wrong. That's my whole point. It was barely funny. It was a useless waste of time. I just don't understand where all of this jovialness and fun and just this energy where like, oh, it's just the girls tripping, it's all relaxed. Like, where is all that energy when the original crew was all around? Like, it was always so much negative energy being put off. Like, you guys very rarely ever spent any time having fun. This was when Ashley was Tasmanian Devil, when Candace was Tasmanian Devil, when we had Katie there. Katie forced the ladies to have a little bit more fun, but the ladies haven't been fun in a few seasons. You know, they've been solely focused on beef. Again, it was barely funny, but still. And it was a waste of footage as far as I'm concerned. It could have been in the blooper reel. Like, can we please wind this season down already? Okay, so the next day, the ladies are all kind of relaxing. They're going to go to a spa, like a natural spring spa type situation. And Ashley's doing yoga. We get to see where Robyn and Gizelle are out by the pool, and Gizelle goes and sits down with Robyn, and basically Robyn has gotten the photos from her photo shoot to proof, and Karen is a no-go. She just can't find any pictures of Karen that she's satisfied with, which is her prerogative. It's her brand, but basically she blames it on the fact that Karen doesn't look as youthful. And she feels like it's not necessarily a good look. And she ends up not using Karen's photos on the website. I feel like she should have used Karen's photo, even if she just used from, you know, her nose up or her eyes up or whatever, like a side view of the head and just a soupçon of her face. Like there was things that she could have done to use Karen's footage and not necessarily hurt her feelings, but it's her brand. She has the right to make those decisions. Again, they decide between the two of them, they're going to dissect Karen and Ray's relationship. This is Giselle's way of speaking ill of Karen without Karen being present, because then Karen does not have the opportunity to retort and to snatch her edges and drag her for filth, show her for her works. So she's talking to Robyn because this is a safe place where you can really, really dissect Karen and Ray's relationship and drag her to the public. Because she's on camera. She's not just talking to Robyn and not have Karen defend herself. And it's poor form. It's poor form. Okay. I'm not saying that I wouldn't have these same conversations. I'm not saying that, because done properly, it could be this quiet conversation between two friends, but you know you doing it on camera, and I definitely wouldn't do that for a good friend of mine. If I had some little quips about a good friend of mine, I just wouldn't be doing that, you know, publicly like that. You know, they talk about Ray being older. We've all joked about it, and they talk about how apparently Karen has said on more than one occasion she doesn't really like Ray's penis. Robyn shares a memory some years ago before the taxes and all of this stuff, that Karen was really, really drunk after a party, and Ray came to pick her up because she was really, really drunk. And she shared with Robyn that she hates Ray's peen, and Robyn says she has never forgot it. And again, I could see this conversation happening with any group of women. You know, this is just what it is. It's just at the same time that you're saying, I've known Karen for years and I'm a good friend for Karen and I want to support Karen, you are dragging her way more than she's dragging you and Giselle, way more. Like, every opportunity you get to show Karen up, you do. A lot of what Karen does and what Karen says to you in terms of dragging you and reading you, she does in response to some bad behavior that you've shown. And this conversation just proves it. It just proves it. Now, I guess it does say something about Robyn that she hasn't shared this up until now, but we see where Karen back in the room or on her patio or something, she talks with Candace, and she lets Candace know that she is really proud of her, that she did not let Ashley's conversation at the table push her or there to the point where she got angry or got out of character. And she says, when you do need to speak up for yourself and read and let people have it verbally, you just have to make sure you do it with temperance. And Candace took all of that to heart. It was basically, I guess, a good moment. Well, we go back to Gizelle and Robyn, and Ashley comes up and she sits down, and Robyn starts to initiate. Remember, her and Gizelle are our rudders. They start the conversations, they direct the conversations, they orchestrate the conversations, right? So Robyn says, have you talked with Candace since the dinner conversation? And Ashley says, no, she hasn't talked with her. And she says, hopefully we'll get a chance to talk. I know it kind of seemed like it came out of the blue. And Robyn, says, yes, it did, yada, yada, yada. And this is when Ashley shares that Monique wants her to write a statement about Candace on Monique's behalf. And boy, the green-eyed devils just jumped in. Robyn says, okay, so all you're going to say in your statement, now she's telling Ashley this, all you're going to say in your statement, right, is that you went to the bathroom and you didn't see anything, right? And so Ashley's like, well, I mean, no. Basically, Gizelle chimes in. They're coming for her. So your relationship with Candace is gonna be zero then. And Ashley tries to explain. She does a horrible job here. Instead of her saying no, actually, what I'm going to be doing is speaking about my experience with Candace on last year. She waits to the very end of the conversation. Again, it could have been editing. I'm just talking about what they showed us. After it's this back and forth about, she says, Monique wants me to speak, doing a character. It's not about the incident. She doesn't want me to be a witness. This is what Ashley says. She wants me to write a character. Robyn says, so basically she wants you to assassinate Candace's character. And Ashley's like, no, she wants me to talk about my experience with Candace from last season. Finally, she says it. Why didn't you lead with that? And the thing of it is that this is what Monique specifically said when they showed it in the episode 2 episodes ago. She said, I would like you to write down what happened with you and Candace, your experience with Candace last year. And Ashley said, yes. I've heard reviews where people thought she was going to be writing down what happened at the mollywopping. I've heard, vloggers say it. Like, that's not what Monique asked her. I don't know why every time Ashley repeats what happened, she doesn't lead with that. She doesn't say, she wants me to talk about my experience with Candace last year. And so Gizelle says, the butter knife incident, and just kind of blowing it off. You mean the butter knife incident? Here's the thing. The butter knife incident by itself may not seem like a big issue, but I keep bringing it up to people and not everyone remembers it. Everyone remembers the fight. They don't remember a lot of what happened prior to the mollywopping. But if you go back to that episode, there are 2 occasions in that conversation as Candace is escalating in the verbal aggression where Wendy removes a knife out of Candace's hand. Twice she does it. She does it twice. Go back to that episode from the beginning of that confrontation. You will see that Candace is talking with a knife. And twice Wendy has to remove that knife out of Candace's hand. And so that is why that incident that happened last season between Candace and Ashley, even though it was just a butter knife, Gizelle, is important. It's probably also why everything was thrown out, because there is the perception of aggression. We all know that they're just words. They're not the same as physical, but in a person's perception is their reality, everyone. If Monique's perception is that she was being physically threatened, that may speak to why she acted out in anger. And she has every right to prove herself to be in the right, or at least 50% wrong in the situation. Like, you did something and I did something and we both wrong. Okay. And that's all that I have ever said, is that, one, I think that they were both in the wrong for fighting. I don't necessarily blame Monique 100%, because I know that Monique had a lot of pressure on her, and I know that Candace was being very, very aggressive in that conversation, and they both bear some responsibility. I've said that repeatedly. So this is why Monique wants Ashley to speak, and Ashley says that Monique had her back. We've already talked about that several times, and she wants to support Monique in this way. And Gizelle chimes in and says, well, so you owe her a favor. Basically, you gonna throw Candace under the bus to help Monique because Monique did you a favor and you owe her. Why? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? If someone shows you loyalty, you're supposed to show them loyalty. It's not that you're supposed to support wrong, but all she's asking is if she could please recant what happened that night. It doesn't mean that what she recants is not going to reflect badly on Ashley, because she did come back into the girl's household. But at the same time, it shows a pattern. Everybody wants to talk about this pattern with Monique, which there is none. But what about this pattern with the rest of the ladies? If Karen has a pattern of drinking and talking too much, Gizelle has a pattern of hiding all her stuff while exposing everybody else's. Robyn has a pattern of coming everywhere looking dusty and like she just got out of bed. Wendy has a habit of mentioning her degrees every 4 seconds. Ashley has a habit of acting like her ish don't stink and Michael ish don't stink, and they a funky mess. So everybody has a pattern, including Candace. Okay, let's all move on. All right. So, Ashley just continually tries to explain, and she says to Gizelle, when Gizelle said, you know that you're going to have zero relationship with Candace. Your relationship with Candace is basically going to be nothing. Why should she worry about that? I just don't understand why you're warning her about her relationship. You act like your relationship with Andy Cohen is going to be crap. It's just Candace. It's just Candace. And since you weren't on the receiving end of Candace's verbal venom, Gizelle, well, I guess you were, because you required her to apologize to you for calling your new home, a $900,000 cabin. But you weren't on the receiving end of Candace's verbal venom like Ashley was. It is what it is. And Robyn says, well, I would have much rather, it's not even up to you. I would much rather you paid your taxes. I would much rather you not be on this episode, Robyn. It's just the way they're trying to tell Ashley how to think and how to feel and how to move that tease me off. And the two of them don't have really nothing going on between the two of them, Gizelle and Robyn. If Robyn does have some texture, if she does have some depth of character, we never get to see it because she's so far in Gizelle's behind. Okay, so for you to tell Ashley that you would much rather her write a statement that supports Monique rather than tears down Candace, she's gonna do both. She's gonna support Monique by telling how Candace got physical, got aggressive with her, both verbally and physically. She's doing both. She's doing both. You have the right to feel how you feel, and she has the right to feel how she feels. It just bugs me that every time somebody even remotely brings up Monique's name in a positive way, these two devils decide they're gonna bully the person and make them see this is the way to go. And this is why I say there is a clear and orchestrated plan to get rid of Monique, to get her off of this show. And every time someone brings up her name and these ladies lunge in, okay, and drag her and bully and browbeat the individual that's talking about Monique, they prove that. But that basically is the episode. The good bits won't come until next week, hopefully. I mean, if it's 3 more episodes, I don't know. I think it's like 18, so it's 2 more episodes. Like this whole season is just dragging on, you guys. Y'all tell me what you think and put it down below. Last week they made it seem like the whole confrontation between Ashley and Candace was gonna jump off. It didn't. It was just all this jokes and prep work and all this stuff. It was a nonsense episode, but I tried to give you guys at least 30 minutes of good commentary and just talk about some of the issues at hand. You know, I heard people on Twitter talking about how Ashley is the real devil here and how it's not really Gizelle. That's not true. That's not true at all. They're all really shady individuals, but this situation between Gizelle and Monique and Candace and Monique, and how they're caping for her to get off this show, to ostracize her, is directly coming from Gizelle. Ashley's just getting in where she fit in. She's definitely playing the long game with Michael, and she's playing the long game with this show. She's walking that fine line. We talked about how her and Karen are very similar in that way, you know, where they walk right down the middle of the road, and we get to see it here. Again, the way she continues to explain it kind of proves that instead of her being very, very clear about what it is that Monique wanted, very, very clear about the information that she's going to be providing and standing behind that, she's allowing the situation to get misconstrued, and then she clears it up, and like it's weird. Y'all tell me what y'all think about this episode, about how Ashley is moving, about the responses from Robyn and Gizelle. I'd love to hear it. Put it down below. And until next time, honeybees, mwah, mwah, mwah. I holla.